So I talk about this being a spiritual journey, and the spiritual journey have different aspects, different layers, different dimensions. In the past, I talk about our existence being in both the physical dimensions, the energy dimension, and something called the mind dimension. So that mind is not energy, is neither energy or the material. It's the closest explanation of that is what the quantum physicists call quantum information, right? So I believe it was Stephen Hawking who figured all this out and ultimately come to name something called the Hawkins radiation. That is, if everything falls into a black hole and get annihilated or break down into its basic form where there's particle or wave, something is left behind, and that what's left behind is called a quantum information. So the three dimensions of our existence is both in the particle, material, the wave or the energy, or something called information or data. And so when I talk about this being a spiritual journey, is ultimately working on that last part, which is called mind. So my master, our master, described that process in 5 steps: knowing your mind, observing, quieting your mind, contemplating your mind, and then the last one kind of sounds harsh, but it's called annihilating your mind, and then ultimately it's called emancipation of your mind. So we're at the very bottom, the very beginning, called knowing your mind. Knowing where is your mind. Do you even know where your mind is? Right? So all through this exercise, I keep repeating, it. Focus on your body, focus on your body. Observe the change in your body. So this is the beginning. This is just knowing where is your mind. This part is already very challenging. Okay? So we're going to continue to work on this energy dimension called the chi, and now we do that. Okay, slowly open your eyes. So in the past I talked about yoga, okay, yoga. And I said that yoga in America is actually what is called hatha yoga, forceful yoga. So the American yoga to the traditional yoga is like chop suey to Chinese food, okay? You can't say that they're not, they are, but they're not all of it, right? So the traditional yogic practice comes from the word yoj, I mentioned that before, which means the union between the mind and the body, the 2 planes of existence. But it also means the harness. It's keeping the oxens together. It's the English word, the derivative word is called yoke. It's the harness that keeps the oxens together as you pull the cart. That's the original usage of the word. So in our case, the harness between the body and the mind is the energy, right? So we spend an hour, now it's an hour and 20 minutes, working on that energy plane, just so that it becomes the harness between a mind and the body. So even though it's 3 minutes worth of sitting, 3 minutes of lying down, 3 minutes sitting, because you're now protected with that chi, you're not falling to sleep and your mind doesn't wander. So you're actually right in the middle, maintaining the quality of your practice, okay? I just want to mention something. More than one people had told me, starting with Josh, in that for one reason or another, they decided that with the limited amount of time, they decided that they don't do the usual yoga practice anymore, and they get just as much benefit from this, and it's less stressful on their body. So I was thinking about that. And I think it's because, again, it has to do with the American version of yoga, and I won't want to say anything about yoga practice as a whole. I believe the yoga practice, this is part of yoga practice if you think of it in terms of creating unison between the body and the mind. I think the difference is that we are exploring beyond just the body into the energy, into the mind. So we actually don't exercise our body as much as you need to, but because we tap into both the energy plane and the mind, the mindful plane, that we're actually getting energy from those, right? So I used to swim a lot. I'm not an athlete by any imagination, but and then later on I decided that I actually don't get much of a workout from swimming. So I used to just tread water because that was actually more energetic. And then once I start doing this, I realized that I can actually get more of a pickup just by sitting and doing the right kind of exercise. Anyway, just some thoughts.